You're likely worried about overwhelming them or causing them unnecessary stress. But the truth is, honesty is critical, and your kids can handle more than you think. Ever feel like you're in a constant competition between your career and your husband's patience? Your kids think you work too hard, but hey, you're doing it all for them, right? The struggle is real, and I've been there too. Moments of feeling like a crappy mom and wife because once again, your kids had breakfast on their way to school, and you've got more important things on your plate than cooking and cleaning. Hey there, working moms who are juggling a million things and still wondering if you're doing it right. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mama of 3, and married for 24 years. Welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast, where we dive deep into the messy, chaotic, and sometimes hilarious world of mastering motherhood, marriage, and business. I get it. Balancing it all was never the goal, but here we are trying anyway. I'm here to share my journey and guide you through yours. No more apologies for being driven, and definitely no compromises on your dreams. Together, we'll navigate the challenges of being a powerhouse in both business and family life. Join me as we tackle the uncomfortable conversations from being the breadwinner to changing the rules of what a marriage looks like. Let's figure out how to parent in a working parent household without the constant arguments or guilt. I'm Veronica Cisneros, and this is Empowered and Unapologetic, where we embrace the chaos, challenge the norms, and strive to live life on our own terms. Get ready for some real talk, actionable tips, and a few laughs along the way. Hey, ladies, and welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Unapologetic podcast. I'm your host, Veronica Cisneros. And today we're discussing a topic that's incredibly important and not often talked about. Talking to your kids about cancer. I know. Yes, we're totally going there. Why? Because it's so necessary. We are getting a good amount of calls for families that are struggling on how to have a conversation with their kids. They're struggling with their own diagnosis and their own emotions wrapped around it. Or we're having partners call because there has been a loss of a loved one, a mother. If you've recently been diagnosed, I now know firsthand how overwhelming that can feel. You're already trying to process your own diagnosis, and now you're faced with the challenge of figuring out how to explain it to your kids in a way that supports their emotional well being. In this episode, we're going to unpack how to have those tough conversations. We'll talk about what signs to watch for to know if your child is struggling, practical tips from opening up those conversations, how therapy can help, and most importantly, how you can help build resilience in your kids during this difficult time. So, whether you're navigating this right now or want to be prepared in the future, I'm here to help guide you. Let's start with the emotional impact on your kids because that's where many parents get stuck. You might think that if your child isn't asking questions, then maybe they're okay. But here's the truth, kids often pick up on more than we realize. There are experts at noticing when something is different, even when we don't verbalize it. Kids can internalize stress without showing it right away. So if your family is dealing with cancer, they're likely feeling it, whether they talk about it or not. Sometimes it's not about the words. They'll show you in their behavior. Common signs of emotional distress in kids. Withdrawal. If your child suddenly becomes quieter or spends more time alone, that's a big indicator. They might not know how to put their feelings into words, so they withdraw to protect themselves emotionally. And what I've also seen a lot of kids do is they'll emotionally withdraw trying to protect their parents. They don't want to add any more pressure to their parents' plate. Another sign is acting out. Irritability, frustration, or sudden changes in behavior can also signal that they're struggling to process the news. A kid who's normally easygoing might start having more tantrums or emotional outbursts. This one right here is big. Over responsibility. This is huge for older kids or even younger ones who feel they need to step up. They may try to take on more responsibility, thinking they need to be strong for the family. The weight of this can lead to anxiety or even anger down the road. I see a lot of kids struggle with depression when they take on so much. You'll start to see them excel in their grades. You'll start to see them clean up more. You'll start to see them maybe even frustrated with their siblings, trying to get them to behave better. This is a child who has now taken on the responsibility to help their family manage. And I'm not saying that this is something you assign to them, obviously not. Don't get me wrong. Yes, we want our kids to have good grades. Yes, we want our kids to help out with chores. However, at the same time, when we are seeing this over responsibility, this is 1,000% a red flag. Let me give you a real life example. I worked with a family where the mom was diagnosed with cancer and her 11-year-old daughter started becoming more isolated. So, really quickly, to protect my clients, some of the information I give you is a bit distorted because we have to protect my our clients at all costs. And so I'm going to be giving you some information, but it's not necessarily the with regards to demographics, age, it's not necessarily there are absolute changes that I'm making. Why? Because again, I have to protect them. So I just want to say that out loud. Like I don't want you guys to hear like, "Oh my god, Veronica's telling me their whole business." No, I'm giving you some information, but I'm not giving you all of it. And I purposely do that because again, we have to protect at all costs. So, with this particular client, she wasn't asking questions, but her teachers noticed that she wasn't engaging in class and at home. She would go straight to her room after school. Her mom initially thought, well, maybe she's just adjusting. But when we dug deeper, it was clear that the daughter was overwhelmed by the situation and didn't know how to express her fear. I remember her struggling with being able to process through the emotions because she tried to withhold them as much as possible. She wasn't sharing with her family, she wasn't sharing with her friends, and this became so overwhelming that we started to see other unhealthy behaviors. So, what can you do if you're seeing the signs? First and foremost, don't panic. Your kids need to know that they're safe and that they can share their feelings without being judged. Practical tips are things like starting conversations. But let me go ahead and teach you how to start the conversation. One of the simplest ways to open up a conversation is by asking your kids to share two good things and one tough thing about their day. This is actually something that I practice with my kids. This allows them to ease into talking about harder subjects and gives you insight into what might be on their mind. We have this conversation every single night, and my kids sometimes start it. We'll have this conversation or another tool that was really, really good. And I can't take the credit for, my husband did. He actually has this. We have these silver jars, they're in our kitchen, and they look kind of like decorations. One of them holds our spices, the other one holds our questions and our answers. So, what do I mean by that? Willie ended up typing, I think it was like 5,000 questions. Okay, maybe it wasn't 5,000, but it felt like 5,000. Literally, there was like over 100 questions. And typed them up on like questions he wanted to ask the kids, questions for the family. And I'm not sure if he got them off Pinterest or where he got them, but there were a bunch of like table questions, like dinner conversations. He cut them up and then he put them in this sort of like jar like container. And so in my family, we'll either do tell me two things that went well for you and two things that did not go well, or what was tougher, what were you struggling with? Or the kids will grab the jar and it's like the silver, maybe it's not a jar, whatever. They'll grab the silver jar. I'm gonna call it a jar. So they'll grab both of them. One has all of the questions, and then after we're done answering the questions, we'll go ahead and fold them up and put them in the other smaller silver jar. But I have learned so much about my kids through those conversations. And whenever my daughter's boyfriends come over, I know, oh my God, that's a whole nother conversation. But whenever my daughter's boyfriends come over or friends come over and they join us for dinner, you bet your ass we're having those conversations. And those friends also engage. And we have deep conversations with them as well. Remember, consistency is key. They might not open up. This isn't where like you start to do this and all of a sudden your kids start opening up. That might not happen automatically. And I just want to make sure I say that. This requires consistency. Again, they might not open up the first time you ask, but over time, they'll realize it's a safe space to express their emotions. Now let's talk about how to talk to your kids about your diagnosis. Listen, we're about to tackle the conversation itself, the one where you tell your kids about your diagnosis. I won't sugarcoat it. This is one of the hardest things you'll ever do as a parent. You're likely worried about overwhelming them or causing them unnecessary stress. But the truth is, honesty is critical, and your kids can handle more than you think. First, think about how you want to frame the conversation depending on your child's age. For younger children, simplicity is key. They don't need all the details, but they do need reassurance. You might say something like, Mommy has something called cancer, and the doctors are helping me get better. It's going to take time, but we'll go through this together. For older kids or teenagers, you can be more direct, but still reassuring. Try, I've been diagnosed with cancer. It's serious, but I'm getting treatment. And we're going to take it step by step. This approach allows them to understand the gravity of the situation without feeling burdened by adult responsibilities. Let's take a deep breath right now. We're covering a really tough topic. And I know this is not easy. And I told you, I'm going to be here with you. Another tip is to leave space for questions. Encourage your kids to ask you anything, whether it's about what cancer is, how treatment works, or how their lives might change. This also helps them feel in control of their understanding of what's happening. And here's something important. Don't be afraid to show your emotions. Again, I'm going to look directly at you. We already know this conversation is tough. Don't be afraid to show emotions. Why? Because you're a human being, and it's important your kids know that you're having a hard time with this too. You don't have to be a hero here. You get to show up. You get to be vulnerable. And that is key to really helping your kids through this process. And more importantly, helping you. Like I said, you don't need to be a superhero. In fact, showing your emotions teaches your kids that it's okay to feel scared or sad. You might say, yes, this is tough, and it's okay to feel scared, but we're going to face this together.
I know looking for the right therapist can be challenging. However, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected is even harder. Life is filled with several twists and turns, some more severe than others. We do our best to handle them as they come and find ourselves at a loss, not knowing what to do or who to turn to. The clinicians here at Outside the Norm Counseling are here to help. We are here to assist you through this time of need. Together, we will identify your strengths and goals and teach you healthy coping skills. Together, we will develop a plan to help you live the life you want to live. Our team is compassionate, genuine, and we take a great deal of pride in providing an empathetic, non-judgmental approach to all of our clients. It's time! You've waited long enough, whether it be for you, your child, or if you're in need of a couple session. We are highly trained clinicians ready to guide you. Schedule an appointment now by calling 951-395-3288. Again, that number is 951-395-3288. We're looking forward to meeting you and being a part of your journey.
Now, let's talk about therapy. I can't stress enough how valuable therapy can be, and not just for you, but for your kids. Often, kids need a neutral space to process what they're going through, away from the pressure of worrying about your reaction or the rest of the family's reaction. We had kids come into our office, and the parents wanted the kids to come in together. But what we realized was through therapy is the kids were at different degrees of understanding and processing. And some of them were a lot further than the other. One of them was a lot further than the other. And so through that assessment, we were able to have a conversation with the parents and provide them with actionable steps, what was necessary. And we decided that it was important that each of the kids had their own sessions. It didn't mean that we weren't going to do family therapy. Absolutely, we were. But we wanted to make sure that we provided the necessary skills and space for each child to process through without feeling like one had to care for the other or vice versa, or one couldn't express themselves. And through that, what we were able to do is we had both kids initially through that assessment period. After the assessment period, we went ahead and started individual sessions with the kids. And then we would have family sessions. And these sessions were really focused on helping the family come together, helping them have these uncomfortable conversations, teaching them about emotion regulation, teaching them about how to process their emotions, teaching them about validation, teaching them about boundaries. And this really, really helped the family come together. And it also helped the patient with the diagnosis focus on their healing, focus on their care. They were able to have these hard conversations, not only with their kids, but also with their spouse. And it is through these hard conversations that the family felt prepared. The family was able to talk to other people about it. And it wasn't the suppressed anger, it wasn't the suppressed anxiety. It was actually really beautiful. And when we terminated care, the family felt so equipped throughout the entire process. And the patients didn't go through anxiety, didn't leave with a diagnosis of depression. Why? Because she did the early work. That was so important. It was so necessary. And the entire family was able to come together stronger. That's what we want. With therapy, you have professionals that are skilled, that are trained to go out and help you in these uncomfortable conversations, in these traumatic times. One thing that we do here at my practice, for those of you guys that don't know, I own a group private mental health practice, and I have a team of clinicians that work here in the practice for me. And we meet once a week and we do what's called case consultations. There's constant training with my clinicians. Why? For the whole reason I named my practice Outside the Norm Counseling. We don't do band aid therapy. We make sure that we identify the issue and what is that core, deep rooted issue, and what are your patterns associated with it. We offer child's therapy that helps kids express emotions in ways that are comfortable for them, whether through talking, art, or play therapy. Emily Dewar is our play therapist. And I'm going to tell you right now, she is a child whisperer. These tools help them process feelings like fear, confusion, and even anger, which are all natural reactions to a parent's illness. So let me go ahead and explain how therapy helps. I've seen kids benefit tremendously from therapy during times like this. For example, one child who came into therapy after her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer initially refused to talk. But through art therapy, she began drawing images that represented her fears and sadness. Over time, she opened up about how scared she was of losing her mom, and that conversation allowed her to release a lot of pent up anxiety. Therapy gives your child the opportunity to express emotions they may not feel comfortable sharing at home. If you're noticing that your child is struggling with sleeping, having nightmares, or acting out at school, therapy can offer them the coping skills they need to navigate these emotions. And it's also a way for you to take a break from feeling like you have to carry the emotional load for the entire family. Now, let's go ahead and shift gears and talk about building resilience in your kids. Resilience isn't something they're born with, it's something we help them build. Even in difficult times, kids can develop skills that will carry them through tough situations later in life. Therapy helps with this, but so can things you do at home. One of the most important things you can do is maintain routines. Kids find comfort in routine, especially during times of uncertainty. Keep family rituals intact, whether it's bedtime stories, family movie nights, or weekend activities. These moments of normalcy will help your child feel grounded. One thing we do in my home is we have parent daughter date night. And I've explained this to you guys, but for those of you guys that are new, I'll go ahead and give you I'll go ahead and give you a brief summary of what we do. So our parent daughter night, I have three daughters. So our parent daughter night is every Monday, every single Monday. So on Monday, either Willie or I will go ahead and take one of our daughters out for a parent daughter date. So it'll be either a mommy daughter date or a daddy daughter date. And Willie and I rotate. So how it works is I will go ahead and take Aaliyah, my oldest, out on a date. She gets to pick where we go. I ask questions. We have deep conversations, really, really deep conversations. One of the primary questions I ask my kids is, how can I do better as a mom? Yeah, I ask those questions. That's how deep we go. And I'm going to tell you, they answer. And sometimes it's not the answer that I would have expected or would have wanted. However, I'm thankful for those conversations. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. And the issue would have maybe gotten bigger. So it'll go me and Aaliyah, me and Aubrey, me and Brooklyn every single week. And then the next week, Willie will go ahead and take them out on a date. The same thing, Willie and Aaliyah, Willie, Aubrey, Willie, and Brooklyn, and then it'll go back to me. But we do this every single Monday. Another ritual we'll do is every Tuesday. Tuesday is parent date night. My husband and I will go out on a date. Those things are really, really important. Wednesdays are Bible studies. Willie goes and he does Bible studies. Thursday is Bible study family night. So just to give you an idea of like things that happen in my household that we have come routine, have become, oh my gosh, I got tongue tied, have become routine. And it's happened so much that now if we miss a family date night, you bet your ass my kids are reminding us. Another key is encouraging open dialogue, even when it's uncomfortable. This doesn't mean having deep conversations every day. It could simply be asking how they're feeling when you're driving to school or while you're cooking dinner together. The more you normalize these check ins, the easier it will be for them to open up when they're really struggling. Lastly, give them permission to find joy. It's okay for your kids to keep playing soccer, hanging out with friends, or laughing at silly things. They need those moments of happiness to balance the heavier emotions they're feeling. Now, I want to talk specifically about teens because they can be the hardest to reach during times like this. They might shut down emotionally or distance themselves. And while it's frustrating, this is a natural reaction. And I want you to know that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated with your teen. But I want you to process through this. And if you struggle with self regulating, well, I'm here for you. Therapy can be a game changer. And it's a game changer here because it offers them a space where they don't feel pressured to talk right away, but can process at their own pace. Teens often need more independence on how they handle stress. So pushing them too hard can totally backfire. Instead, let them know that therapy is available when they're ready. This is not something that we're forcing them to do. When they're ready, we can bring it up. Hey, I noticed that you're struggling. No, I'm not. Well, I've noticed. And I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I can see how sometimes maybe me being here can be overwhelming because I love you so much and I want to take care of you. And I also know that there might be some times where you want to say things, but you don't know how. So if you ever want to talk to somebody, like a therapist, I'll go ahead and schedule an appointment. Let me know. That right there is huge. It is so huge. When they're ready, whether it's through art, sports, or talking, teens often open up more through activities rather than direct conversations. And I know with an expert, teens are able to process through these emotions and develop the words to go ahead and share them with their parents. And that right there is why I love doing what I do. I take a great deal of pride in being a therapist because I get to experience and witness those moments when they have those aha moments, when families come together, and I get to see from start to finish the entire journey. Before we wrap up, I want you to know that you're not expected to navigate this alone. If you're feeling overwhelmed and unsure of how to get help, we're here. We are here. Here at Outside the Norm Counseling, like I said, we don't do band aids. We're here to take you to that next step when you're ready. If you want to contact us, you can do so by going to outsidethenormcounseling.com. You can reach us by phone by calling 951 395 3288. Again, that number is 951 395 3288. Go on the website. We definitely have blogs that cover this as well. Make sure you share this with a friend. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey. Bye for now. Raise your hand if you are ready to level up your marriage for 2023. Do you find that you're spending your time together with your husband checked out and in front of the TV? I know you're ready for tangible strategies that actually get you results. Reignite the spark in your marriage, have fun, and grow together. Well, I hope you have your hand raised at this minute because I have something special for you. I'm introducing my brand new 6-question marriage predictor quiz that's gonna give you personalized results to catapult you into the next stage of your marriage journey. That means you'll receive the results to where your marriage can get the best help. If you've got just 1 minute, head to veronicacisneros.org/quiz. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz. And you could take my brand new quiz, Marriage Predictor. Get your results delivered right to your email address. Again, that's veronicacisneros.org/quiz. veronicacisneros.org/quiz. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.